Sometimes it's nice to go back to the good old comfortable matchup. It's time for a Protoss versus Zerg. It's the finals of the Korean StarCraft League, the 69th edition. Playing right here with the red Zerg drones. In the top right hand corner in this best of 5 series, we have Dark. His opponent down in the bottom left, representing himself on the main Nexus. We're looking at Hero's main Nexus. Hero going up against Dark. This is probably my most casted matchup. Maybe Clem versus MaxPax is close these days. But I have covered Dark going up against Hero, Hero going up against Dark many times before. And what's nice about these two, unlike MaxPax going up against Clem, is that these two, they tend to play like absolute donkeys. Yeah, they bring out the worst in one another. And I'm here to see it, man. I'm always a fan. Now, this is indeed the Korean StarCraft League, the 69th edition. And I do want to bring this up real quick. This particular series was played on Valentine's Day. I like that they scheduled it that way. 2 or maybe 3 years ago, when the Korean StarCraft League first began, it all came down to this. And as somebody who's got the humor of a 12-year-old, I really appreciate that. Now, Dark's been a big fan of delaying his gas geysers, especially against Terran. In this particular instance, this is reasonably quick. Nothing all too strange just yet. Hero is doing his pylon as part of the wall off. This is one of those don't try this at home, kids type of moves. Generally, if you're a ladder hero, this is inviting a baneling bust pretty much right away, but not really something that happens all too often at the pro level. And obviously, one of the nice advantages is that, well, now he doesn't need a second gateway to wall himself in, meaning that the third Nexus can come up nice and early. We find ourselves, by the way, on Arrowholm. This is not an official ladder map. It's not even an official tournament map, but a lot of maps, or a lot of tournaments lately, have been swapping out some of the less popular maps from the StarCraft 2 map pool, and they've been swapping in their own ones instead. Arrowholm has now come... Yeah, it's come into a bunch of tournament map pools. It's looked really nice. One of the good things about Arrowholm is that it's got a very solid lighting scheme. As somebody who makes YouTube thumbnails, fun fact, don't tell anybody this, but a lot of the images that I use for my YouTube thumbnails, I shoot on Arrowholm, because this map just has nice bright lighting, no weird like color haze on it, nothing that looks all too funky. I like Arrowholm, it looks good, and well, the map layout is also very solid to boot. I believe it's replacing maps like, for example, King's Cove, for example, Abyssal Reef, maps like Neon Violet, those maps that basically we had back in the early days of Legacy of the Void, and well, then they decided to bring them back for the current map pool. It's pretty fun, but the maps tend to be so incredibly slow, to the point where, like, well, nothing's really happening until, like, minute 17. So, yeah, having Arrowholm instead, I don't mind it. I'm not sure if there's actually other maps as well that have made it into the KSL, but we'll figure it out as this series progresses. Stargate opener here for Hero, nothing all too weird. Ooh, cheeky little Zergling trying to be a jerk. 8 HP remains on the pylon. It was a cancel on the other pylon as well that was building. Obviously, though, not the end of the world. Hero trying to see if maybe he could snipe a drone down over there on the low ground. But apparently, the long arm of the Adept just barely does not reach. Quick Twilight Council. I would like to see Hero maybe play a couple of the strategies that we've seen from Zaun lately. I've been really enjoying the Zaun build orders in this particular matchup. This is already looking like a pretty difficult matchup for Zergs as it is, and now Zaun is making this matchup even more interesting with that weird Void Ray into Charge build. Haven't really seen anybody but Zaun play that build, so I'm inclined to imagine it's not actually that good, but Zaun is making it look like it's one of the very best build orders to go for, so maybe we'll see Hero trying it out as well throughout these games. For now, though, this is looking like a regular Blink build. The Blinky Boys? Yep, it is going to be the Blinky Boys. Now, there are a bunch of Zerglings finishing the job that those 2 Zerglings from earlier started. Most of the time, though, this is just here to force that Oracle back home. And, well, killing a pylon is not a bad idea. Once more, the best defense is indeed the offense. Gateway's coming up. Dark has a cheeky Overlord just hanging out, and he's actually being a bit of a nuisance. Good warping over there by Hero. Saving Probius, which is always good, but this is all just a little bit cursed. Not really the way that Hero had it intended, and now the Oracle, yep, it's gonna get intercepted too. Dark doing dark things. Showing up at weird timings with strange numbers of Zerglings, forcing Hero to adapt, because Dark always... Dark doesn't really play very strict builds. Dark is always just sort of mixing it up and doing whatever he feels like is best in that given moment. If you actually try to make sense of Dark's build orders, rarely does he play anything similar for like the first 5 minutes of the game. There's always something that he changes up. And I think it's because he just plays very feeling-based. He just understands the rules very well, and he knows how you're supposed to play the game, and then you mix it up a little. Okay. Overlord goes down. You scouted that everything is very normal. So second Oracle is now coming up. That Oracle timing is, of course, a bit strange. It means that Hero is also mixing it up just a tad, but nothing all too crazy. Evo Chamber right now. A Roach Warren as well, so no skipping there. We've seen Dark go and transition into really quick Lairs with really quick Hydra Dens as well. Dang. That's a skin we rarely see on the Roach Warren. Alright, well, it's wiggling now. Glio Reconstitution. Roach Speed is researching. We do have a quick charge here, together with +1. Not a charge first, though, so a little bit different than what we normally see from Zaun. Curious to see if we're going to see a fast Templar Archives as well on the back of this. Yeah, fun fact, if you never looked at the Roach Warren, there's a tiny little roach right over here inside of the Roach Warren. That way, even if you don't know what a Roach Warren is, just look for the little roach. It's beautiful. Just like there is always a man in the missile turret, and there must always be a man in the missile turret, so too shall there always be a roach in the Roach Warren. Certain rules are just there. It is it's a funky looking skin, isn't it? Sorry. I know there's movement around on the map, but it's very, very wiggly. Very wiggly. Looks like we found another hatchery over here on the right side. Hero, though, apparently wants to get the cake and eat it too. Wants to go after the queens, gets one of them. For some reason, though, he's not yet killing the hatchery, despite having had vision of it. Yeah. He just decided he wanted to deal some damage to the queens first. Needs to be careful, though, that he doesn't accidentally find himself cornered. Roaches are ignoring this altogether. Hatchery is done. Or down, rather. Done for the Protoss. Big Roach counterattack is going to force the recall here on these Stalkers. Does he have enough to really bring all of this home? Is there enough here for the Protoss player to really defend? Oracles, of course, don't have a real counter, but these Roaches are just simply going across the map, and they are knocking straight on the front door. Dark cutting a lot of corners to get this attack going. +1 is finishing up right now. Honestly, a little bit late. Should have had that done before this attack really got going. But again, Dark is somebody who plays very feeling-based, and I think he looked at this situation. He's like, yo, I don't think you have enough. I'm fairly sure you just don't have enough stuff here to properly get all of this done. 13 probes full. Nexus, however, lives. Zerg reinforcements are showing up. This is where you really wished you made more Oracles. None of them have died, but we only had to. If we had a third one here, that would have been like an additional 10 roaches going down just due to that. Either way, the Immortal production can begin now for Hero. I don't know if he feels like he's got the time to get one of those out, but it can be really useful. Hydra Dan coming up. +1 missile here as well. +2 now also for Hero, so he's also making a transition towards the next stage in his master plan. And this has been a very solid back and forth so far. Generally, I like this position better for Protoss, but I think actually with Dark, delaying his additional droning, especially since he lost that hatchery, right? It makes the game a little bit awkward, but he delayed his additional droning in favor of more roaches, and I think it surprised Hero just a tad as well. Now the worker count, though, is dead even. Storm is indeed going to be the next weapon of choice here for Hero. Lurkers will likely be on the horizon for Dark eventually, but for now, it's just going to be good old Roach Hydra Ling. The most common unit composition in 2012. Apparently, we're going back down that route once again. Back then, there weren't any Lurkers. Well, there were Lurkers in Brood War, but for some reason, Hydralisks had forgotten how to make that transition. They're like, Lurker aspect? What's that? I've never seen any of those. Ooh, Nexus coming up here for Hero. This is his 4th base, and it's not... Ooh, cancel? Ooh, thought for a second he had forgotten about it. That kind of looked like one of those Nexus that you thought you already had canceled, but... Alright, he gets the job done here. Storm is indeed going to, well, almost finish up now. We have 3 Templar. Maybe they can go sit inside of the plane, and we can go across. Zealots making their way back home. Infestation Pit coming up right now for Dark. Readying his transition towards a Hive, and then probably a Lurker Den too. We have non-stop aggression right now, though, coming up for Dark. So Dark is knocking down the rocks on the left, pushing in over here as well at the front. Oh, that's going to be the end of the Robo facility, I would imagine. Yep, it does indeed get sniped, but cool guys don't look at explosions. And the same goes for this Nexus over here, though. I don't really see what Hero can do about saving it, so... Most of the Zerg army already retreating. At the very least, the roaches on the right side of the map have been pushed all the way back to the creep. On the creep, though, there's Queens waiting, Transfusions coming up. Now the Storms are landing on some of these units, but again, really lovely movement here by Dark. He gets the Prism as well there in the last possible second. Kills another Immortal. Excellent play here by Dark, man. Really nice to see. It's just Roach Ravager, right? Like, it's just Ling, Roach Hydra. It's just the most basic units. No fanciness whatsoever. The vast majority of Zerg build orders right now seem to rely on some sort of trick, but this is Dark just bringing the hammer. It's going to be nearly impossible for Hero now, yeah, to ever get back into it. And he agrees, he taps out. Game number 1 goes in favor of the Zerg. So we find ourselves on another new map. This one is called Starchild. Let me look it up real quick. I wonder if there's a Wikipedia page for it. No, sadly not. No, it was played a bunch during the Team Liquid map contest. For some reason, and I may be mistaken, but I think this is a map made by Maris, but I'm not 100% sure. I did cast a bunch of the games during the Team Liquid map contest when it was last time around. Actually, there's currently an ongoing map contest going on too. When I get my hands on some of those replays, when the games get played, I will certainly go ahead and check out what the map makers have been cooking up. So with the most recent map pool, with the most recent map contest, as we have Dark going for what seems to be a proxy hatch, the maps were all reasonably normal. It seems that with the new season, though, with the new map contest, you can do whatever you like, man. 3-player maps, 4-player maps. You can do all kinds of shenanigans, healing fountains, weird, like, little wall-offs as well. It's, yeah. I think the map pool is going to be a lot more interesting when the next seasonal change rolls around. Either way, only time will tell. Nice block here from Hero. He recognized that that hatchery was not quite where it was supposed to be, and he knew that a drone was out there. To be fair, this is something Dark does in, like, a third of his games. He loves building hatcheries in the Nexus location there on the other side of the map. He's just being a little bit of a bully. They're both preventing the other from taking the gas. We have a little bit of a standoff here. Alright, fine. The Hero ended up getting it. It's actually a problem if you end up not being able to take your own gas geyser at this point in time, so Dark would have gladly taken it. Not the case, though. Hero obviously has played against that many times, and he's once more put a little pylon here in the middle of that wall-off. In the meantime, Dark, he's been playing an interesting game. We've got a lot of minerals in the bank now. I'm assuming we're going to go double queen here and then a relatively quick third, but because his natural is so late, yeah, he's actually stacking up a lot of cash. All of this gets a little bit funky. He's still busy being a bully on the other side of the map with one cheeky drone. I like this position better for Hero, though. Dark making the best of a weird spot. He was saving up money to be able to build a hatchery inside of his opponent's base. But then when he got spotted, well, he's not really been able to spend his money ever since. He steals 5 minerals. He will take those minerals to the grave. When the Korean IRS comes knocking, the tax authorities, those 5 minerals have disappeared. Nobody knows where they went. Nobody knows where they went. Maybe Starchild takes it. Oh, God. Oh, I hate everything about this, Hero. We have one gap of space everywhere. This is not okay, all right? It's fine, but also I am not okay with this. Are we gonna put something else behind this now? Oh, God. Hero, I know this map is one that you haven't played on very much, but jeez. It's okay. To be fair, I've also seen Hero make very questionable walls on maps that he has played many times. So maybe it's not that weird. Yeah, maybe it's not that odd. Alright, 2 Adepts being a bit of a jerk. Metabolic boost now, though, is done, so not a whole lot you can do with those units for now, but at the very least, it's keeping those Zerglings pinned back. Oracle goes into the 3rd base and now heads on over towards the main. How much damage can it really deal? 2 drones, 3 drones. Not bad. Adepts here also still being a bit of a frustrating unit to deal with, and so far, Dark is just not really getting the ball rolling. He's trying, but Hero is in firm control of the pacing of this match, and it's all due to that proxy hatchery failing earlier. Oracle coming up. Zergling counterattack is now, well, inbound, but there's already Adepts waiting over at that 3rd Nexus location. Looks like we have even more drones going down. This Oracle is extremely low in HP. I wouldn't mind seeing it maybe just recalled, but 8 worker kills after a failed proxy hatch. Really, really good here for Hero. I wouldn't mind seeing him recall his Oracle. Either way, Twilight Council, together with a Forge, these seem a little bit late to me, but I guess it's okay. Just recall it, man. It's like, no, I need the chrono boost. I must save the chrono boost. Apparently, it's just barely out of reach. Adepts. Swoop it in. This is not Slave Adepts. This is the explanation, by the way, as to why the Twilight Council feels late. We've been spending more money on the Oracles. More money here on the Adepts. Adepts now sneak into the 3rd Nexus, or the 3rd Hatchery position as well. Tuck themselves behind the mineral line. This is all a little bit ugly. Not optimal for certain. A few of them go into the main base, but I actually don't really like this Adept harassment very much. He does kill 4 additional workers, but yeah, he also got the Oracle out. But 7 Adepts for 4 drones. Not quite optimal. Not quite what we really want to do. Especially not now that Twilight Council upgrades are going to be a bit later. Okay, so Dark should be safe to drone for now. He starts up a 4th hatch. He's indeed building up his worker count rapidly. Very late +1 melee. Ah, that's why. We're going for a Spire. You can't really see it. It's there somewhere. I just can't tilt my camera far enough. There is a Spire out there. Question is Hero going to see it? Well, he does get the denial on the 4th, which is actually really nice. Generally speaking, Zerg players really want to have 8 gas geysers going when they play Mutas. Very difficult to do much else if you only have 6 gas. Since Mutas are 100 minerals, 100 gas each. This will likely now transition into just like one big influx of Mutas and then a transition towards something else. Although, again, this is Dark we're talking about, so maybe not. Dark instead is now making 2 additional bases. We don't have a Roach Warren, we don't have a Hydra Den, we've got nothing. This is Zerglings, Queens, and Mutas. He's really trying to shield against that natural location. And I actually quite like the spot where he's building it, right? Because this is not that easy to see. If you're kind of come swooping in, like say you're an Oracle enjoyer right now and you're looking around, do you really notice this little bit of vision over here in the top left-hand corner? Well, even when it's fully erected, it's still pretty short. Yeah, depends on the angle. Anyways, 11 Mutas coming up. Hatchery at the bottom of the map. In a world of trouble. Creep tumors get sniped. Okay, so the plan for Dark to try and get back into the swing of this game, even though he's not in a terrible spot, but he wants to try and see if he can let the momentum shift in his favor once more by suddenly bringing a whole lot of Mutas towards the other side of the map. Okay, I think he sees it now. No, he still doesn't see it. Dude, this is the golden opportunity for a Spire. It's the perfect position. Dark probably also believes he's been scouted. Sadly for Hero, he's not prepared for this at all. Photon Cannon is building because he realized that something is a bit funky. Zerglings with +1 melee, though, are extremely good when it comes to shutting down, well, any sort of Stalker pushing. Unless it's like a very heavy amount of Stalkers. But already, Dark snipes 12 probes just like that. He's also making 7 Overlords, 9 Overlords. Dark, stop! We don't need that many Overlords. That's too many Overlords. He's preparing Overlords for the rest of the game, I guess. Hero also had to go all the way back home. This is what's interesting about it, though. So when you see Serral go Mutas, he makes like one group of Mutas and then he goes into Hydra Lurker, right? Like that's the build. You go like 12 Mutas at most. Yeah, maybe 6 to 12 or so. Dark is now going Mutas, into Mutas, into Mutas, into more Mutas. This man's trying to max out on Mutas. It's a bold move. Now, there is this weird dynamic between Stalkers and Mutalisks where in small numbers, the Mutas lose against Stalkers, but since they can clump up together, you can get to a critical mass where the Mutas actually just one-shot Stalkers pretty easily. And then, because the Stalkers are ground units and they take up a certain amount of space, the positioning on the map becomes really funky. We're a long ways away from that still, though. Dark really would love to survive until that point. He still has Zerglings. +2 melee is about halfway done. Oh, is he going to try and collapse on top of this? There is Storm. There is Storm. He's storming his own Stalkers as well, but I think this is okay for Dark. Maybe? Yeah, I say that. There's a lot more Stalkers on the back of this as well. Archons are not really units that you can fight with Mutas and Zerglings. One thing to keep in mind is that Zerg can always counterattack, and Hero is thinking the same thing. He's already, well, putting up a ton of static defense, making sure that it's going to be difficult for Zerg to opt for the base race instead. One Archon? Okay, with magic boxing you can kind of get rid of it. Not easily done, though. And the Muta count, it's at 21 right now. I think you want like 40 plus before it can really be an effective base race measure. And, well, Hero has decided to split up his units. Excellent split here. Yeah, he's brought enough army towards the other side of the map to kill that 4th hatch. Mutas are coming back home, but that's a good chunk of them going down. 20 in total. Extreme cost inefficiency right here for Dark. Hero's economy, though, is also nothing to write home about. He's going to have a very hard time taking a 4th, but he does get a good stasis ward. And this was looking just for about a minute, like it was indeed the comeback for Dark. But ultimately, Hero gets the job done. Next up, we find ourselves on El Dorado. Dark once more, bringing a drone towards the other side of the map. He wants to go natural into natural. Now, Hero, not down to play. Oh, this is awkward. Yeah, because it didn't work at all in the previous game, Dark's thinking, yo, maybe I can maybe steal the gas geyser? Not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Nope. This is a real issue for Dark. Hero is standing up to his bully. Isn't that beautiful? As a kid, I was told that you needed to go and tell a teacher when there was a bully, but Hero is standing up for himself. Look at the face. He never played with his own face on the Nexus. Dark obviously has always been playing with his own portrait, but Hero never did that. And I really can tell the confidence in Hero's gameplay here. He's no longer afraid. He's not afraid to take a step. That's what Hero's listening to right now. Just the Korean version. The K-pop version. Back in the day when there weren't a whole lot of copyrighted-related issues on the internet. There were a lot of Korean streamers, a lot of Korean pro gamers, and it was kind of funny because every time you clicked on a Korean pro gamer stream, they were always popping K-pop. It was just the only thing they would ever listen to. I'm sure it's still happening. Sadly, we just don't get to hear it as often anymore. I still actually have a few songs from those days in my own personal playlist. I don't think it's music that anybody in Korea still actually listens to. I don't actually know exactly what's popular in Korea. But, I actually don't know what's popular outside of Korea either, for what it's worth. But I remember putting some, I think it's Big Bang is what the group is called. It was like, Girls' Generation. That one was one that the Koreans listened to all the time. Not a big fan of Gangnam Style. No, that's not really my jam, but... Anyway, Hero is mixing it up with a cheeky little Void Ray first. And you know what? I do think this is worth noting. Every single time I've seen Dark play on this map, he's always gone for this hatchery as his very first... Well, not his very first, like his third base. this is pretty much always the direction that Dark expands. This time around, Dark, he's scared. This is the, well, the low testosterone I'm gonna expend away from my opponent's strategy here from Dark. Not generally the way that he approaches the game at all. Hero doing the same thing, not as much a surprise, because, well, Hero likes being the more defensive player against Dark at the very least. This is a little curious, though. We did, by the way, have that Void Ray into an Oracle, too. So both players are actually expanding northward now. That makes this map very large. The majority of the time we see the bases at the bottom taken, making the map feel extremely tiny, or maybe one expansion up north, right? Like the one right over here, but not the case here so far for either of them, as far as the bottom of the map goes. G, 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 baby, 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 G, 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 baby, That was every single Korean pro gamer stream back in like 2012 or so. My Korean is non-existent, but it was very catchy. Oh, that's a shame. One of the oracles ends up going down. Quite sloppy, actually, from Hero. It is critical to keep it alive. And this is not really the type of stuff you want to start off with, no. Hero now trying to see if maybe he can get a bit of a scout at the bottom of the map. Doesn't want to commit the Void Rail too far. Or maybe he's thinking about making a proxy? Maybe we just want to sit at the watchtower? Yeah, that's the plan. We just want to sit at the watchtower. Get a little bit of additional vision in this area of the map. Okay. It is going to be Blink, by the way. No cheeky little charge. Honestly, not a lot of build order variety so far from Hero. Hero just doing whatever he feels like is the best go-to build, but nothing all too creative. Dark also going back to playing Roach Hydra this time around. I'm actually quite surprised with the lack of late game that we've been seeing from a lot of the Korean pro gamers in particular. A lot of the Koreans, they play like what Hero is playing right now. So very, like, laid back early game, I suppose, right? With some Oracle harassment, but then hyper aggression in the mid game with Stalkers and all that. Yet when I watch a lot of StarCraft, which is what I do, at least in European PvZ, I see the vast majority of the Zerg players lose when the game goes to distance. Everybody except Serral seems to be struggling in that department, but a lot of Koreans are shying away from playing late game. I'm not exactly sure as to why that is. They're all playing very aggressively, and they force themselves into these pretty uncomfortable positions. I don't really know if it's the quote-unquote correct way to approach it. I really think they could play this a little bit more laid back, like what Hero is doing right now. Yeah, I think this is the correct way to play. I don't really know for certain, but the vast majority of the matches that I see that look like this, Zerg is just gonna struggle. So there's very little incentive here for Hero to be super aggressive. I think he can probably just hang out, kill some creep tumors, go back and forth. Yeah, I like seeing this here from the Protoss. Now, one thing he needs to keep in mind is that there is a lot of late game mobility for Dark. Dark's a big fan of Nidus Worms, Overlord drops, all the rest of it. So when he goes into Roach Hydra, or he goes into Lurkers, or he goes into anything else, there will likely be a lot of movement abilities too, especially the longer that the game goes. So that is something Hero needs to be very careful with, but as long as he defends at home, which Hero certainly is capable of, I think he can, yeah, just kill the creep, move the creep around, and make sure that Zerg doesn't get out of control. But other than that, just build up your forces. Let's see how this goes. Dark is preparing for a late game, by the way. Infestation Pit coming up, 11 drones now also building in addition to the ones that he's got. Dark is now, for the most part, done with making workers. And that means that we've got ourselves a proper macro game here. El Dorado is a very large map too, by the way, when the map gets played like this. When everybody's expanding towards the bottom of the map. Oh, jeez. It's brutal. When everybody is... Prism goes down as well. Ay, ay, ay. Man, we lose a lot of unnecessary units here. It's not the end of the world when the game goes long, but Oracle and the Prism going down just like that is a bit silly. Anyways, when the map gets played like this and both players expand towards the top section of it, the top half above the golden wall, it's certainly, it feels like a very large map. Okay. I like this as well from Hero, because he's now playing a very different approach, even though it's been looking relatively similar to what he's done previously. So Dark has been preparing a lot of units, expecting a full-on attack from Zerg, or from the Protoss, but then he's got this massive Zerg army sitting around doing a whole lot of nothing. Roach is in the front, Hydra's in the back. It's a party. Colossi, though, are already up, and the third one is just about to hit the battlefield. Templar Archives coming up here on the back of this as well, so Hero is aiming to get some High Templar, at the very least some Archons, as his secondary source of splash damage. No Lurker Den, by the way, for Dark, which is a little curious. Maybe for Vipers, maybe just for +3, maybe for Adrenal Glands, but we have no Lurker Den. Meaning that Dark is just going to stick around on the army that he's got right now, and I don't really know if I believe in that too much, but I don't want to doubt Dark. He showed us time and time again that he's got a very good grasp on the match, and now he's trying to see if he can come in from every single angle. It's a Protoss sandwich here, as Zerg is hitting him with Roach Hydra. An awful lot of it just showing up from several different spots all at the same time. Lucky here for Hero, he managed to slither away just barely in time, but that was still about the best fight Dark was ever going to get. Yeah, he's indeed just getting Vipers. Vipers? And then the Hydra speed upgrade. Really? This is nanomuscular swell. It's the dash boost for the Hydra. It is by many Zerg players considered to be quite useless, but Dark is consistently building it, and it seems like it's the only thing he's getting, really, other than those Vipers and +3. No Lurker Den is crazy to me. I don't see why you wouldn't want to have a Lurker Den here. Fleet Beacon. This is the first big step towards Mama. Maybe Hero is no longer listening to K-pop. He's listening to Tupac now. He's ready to bring Mama out onto the battlefield. Dear Mom. No. Lurker Den is now building here for Dark, but that's extremely late. Let's see. So he's got a lot of Roach Hydra. There's no way Roach Hydra is going to win the game, right? Well, he's going to abduct. Feedback. Feedbacks. Nicely done right there by Hero. There's still a Viper in the back that needs to be... Ooh. Okay. Needs to be feedbacked as well. Or fatbacked. Or fat-beaked. Well, either way, Hero holds. I think it's that last one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It'd be really nice if you could follow this up now with a bunch of Lurkers, but... Alright. It is time for us to bring Mama to the battlefield. We need 400 minerals, 400 gas. Mama is gonna seal the deal, dude. I'm telling you guys. This is what I was trying to highlight earlier. Protoss players from Korea love this. I don't think you guys need to do this at all, man. I feel like this is unnecessarily risky. Some good feedbacks again, or fatbacks, or feedbacked. Once more right there from Dark. Using the lunge ability to move back at the top. Move to the front with the bottom section of his army. But I think what Hero needs to do is sit back and chill. Stop playing this tug of war, dude. Bring Mama out. Everybody's gangster until Mama shows up. Come on. Hey, there she is. Give her about another minute or two. Takes her a while to arrive. But when she's out, Dark is gonna need a response. And Dark generally doesn't respond. He just goes more Hydras. Well, let's see. He's found a base over here at the bottom of the map. Big Zealot run by, and obviously that's the main concern here for Hero, right? Like, with Dark being this aggressive, it's difficult for Hero to really find the time and to spend the resources to get the mothership really going. because Dark is not going to let his foot off the gas. Now, this Zealot run by up north is looking pretty good. Although, good hold position here with the drones, making it difficult for the Roaches and Hydras to get sliced up. Nexus at the bottom did disappear. Hero still has 4 Nexi though, and he's okay in that department. Zealots are now going to get cleaned up for good. The majority of the drones did survive. Lurkers coming up, 7 of them. Seismic Spines finishing up, that's the Lurkers ranged upgrade. Mama's just about to spawn. Your mothership is so big, Vipers can't even abduct her. Yeah, we do have some Vipers, but Mama does not care. There she is. A literal flying city. You know, if this was a real skill game, the mothership would take up the entire map. Oh, no, don't be blinking into that. I don't think you want to blink into that. Some good feedbacks there, some nice blinding clouds. Oh, jeez. Hero, we don't need to be this aggressive, but maybe don't go there. Yeah, maybe, well, what are we doing right now? What are we... Hero's like, ta-da, this is my mothership. Okay, finally he decides to commit to what looks like a much better engagement. I was a little confused there for a second, but gets the hatchery down too. Nexus at the bottom of the map falls, but I don't think Hero wants to go home. Lurkers are dangerous, but they do need detection here. And there's one Overseer up in the air. Maybe killing that is actually worthwhile. Mama herself is going to be taking that job. There is a fight over here too, a single Lurker in the mix. Hero still has an economical lead as far as the worker count goes, but he doesn't have a ton of minerals to mine. I don't think he needs to play like this, man. Why are we... I don't think we really need to be taking these gambles. We can take this game down a notch. We don't need to play at Dark speed. This is exactly what Dark wants to be doing. Create chaos and just make this game very confusing. I like this recall. I think it's the right play. Maybe leave a few units behind to, you know, deal damage here and there. They just now got cleaned up, but this is now ultimately 3 base versus 3 base. Dark is sitting on a mid-game army. Hero's got a late-game force. I think this could have been tidied up a little bit by Hero. But ultimately, I like his position way more. And it's once more Mama. Like, Mama really is what is allowing Protoss to, well, feel a lot more comfortable in the late game. Ideally, Zerg goes into a big bunch of Corruptors here. Dark, by no means here, has the money to make that sort of transition. So it's going to be more Hydras instead. Hero is sort of sitting out on the map, though, in a bit of a dangerous spot. Vipers can still go fishing pretty easily. They can harpoon those big, expensive Protoss units relatively nicely. Cloak gets once more activated. And Dark, yep, does not have an answer. GG. Bula, 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 bula. Does anybody know this song? Does anybody remember GG by Girls' Generation, or am I the only one? You know, I don't listen to a lot of K-pop, but just thinking about the music, it's so catchy. I have no idea what the songs are about. That's the thing. Maybe I should look up some of the translations. For all I know, they could be singing about the most terrible things in the world. Bula, 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 bula. I always like GG by Girls' Generation because I understand GG. But I'm pretty sure it has nothing to do with good game. I'm sure there is absolutely no reference to good game whatsoever. GG, GG, baby, 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 GG. Anyway. Let's see. We've once more got a Stargate opener here for Hero, who's now on match point for this best of 5 series. I think if Hero just played it a little bit more chill, that game would have been pretty much impossible for Dark to win. Like, the only real reason why the game still looked reasonably close is that Dark decided to, well, wrestle in the mud, and Hero was like, you want to wrestle, buddy? Let's go, right? Like, it seemed unnecessary. I don't think Hero really needs to play like that. If he just plays it calm and collectedly and he just sort of macros up, I don't want to turn this into a balanced discussion, but I really don't know exactly what Zerg needs to do. I'm not exactly sure what the best approach is. Mama's dangerous, and if you can't make a whole load of corruptors, yeah, it's risky. So the problem you run into if you make a lot of corruptors, right? So historically, the mothership was only ever made with full skytles. So we would see Tempest, we would see, well, a lot of carriers, and then we would see mothership as like the cherry on top of the cake, right? Like that was Protoss players used to do. But these days, the mothership is just made. That's it. You just add it to whatever unit composition you want. It's a cherry that goes with anything. Maybe it's more like the whipped cream these days, you know? Like, I know there's people out there that don't like whipped cream, but, I mean, that's insane to me. One of my sisters actually doesn't like whipped cream. That's insane. Makes no sense. You just kind of add it to something, and it will generally be better. Well, I say that. There's a lot of dishes that would not be better with whipped cream. Like sushi with whipped cream? No, probably not good. But the vast majority of the Protoss unit compositions do indeed, well, benefit from the mothership. And it's tricky because Hydras don't really kill it. Queens don't really kill it. Spore crawlers don't really kill it. The only thing that reliably kills it is corruptors. But building a spire is half the cost of the mothership itself. If you then have to make like 10 corruptors, it just adds so much additional... I don't think it makes any sense. I don't really... I agree that the mothership should not be abductable, but also I think Zerg needs some sort of way to deal with the mothership, because otherwise it is just... I don't know. I don't know how you can really solve it. It seems very complex. I haven't really seen any Zerg player reliably deal with any of it. Anyway, we're once more apparently back to going into a bunch of Adepts and a bunch of Oracles. This is mostly Hero putting on some pressure. It is the type of pressure, though, that could go horribly wrong. On the back of this, though, it is good old Blink together with +1. Maybe if the Corruptor had more use cases than just turning into a Brute Lord and killing Skytles, like, yeah, it's got that Caustic Spray. Maybe if, like, Caustic Spray could be used against units or something. Like, I don't know. I'm just... Once upon a time back in... I think this was, like, the Heart of the Swarm beta or something. I remember somebody using Caustic Spray on siege tanks. It was very cursed. They took away that ability. But, like, the Corruptor is just too much of, like, a specified unit, I think. Like, it's very good at its designated job, but it sucks at pretty much everything else. And since Brute Lords are also kind of a mediocre unit, you're just kind of... You're just in an awkward spot, I guess. Bunch of drones end up going down. Not a good start here for Dark whatsoever. Although Dark has now skipped once more the Roach Warren. He skipped the Bailing Nest. Dark is playing very, very greedy. Here comes Hero. He's got Blink, and he's once more got his eyes set on this newly acquired hatch. Now the thing is, Dark is going... That was his 5th base. That was not his 4th. Losing the 4th base is pretty much the end of the game. Losing the 5th, though, if Hero actually reads this as if he just killed... No, he knows. Okay. If he thought for a second that that was indeed the 4th base, he could be in a world of trouble. Blink, careful. I don't think Hero needs to play like this. I really don't see it as a necessity. I think he can just kind of chill. That's what MaxSpecs does in a lot of his games. Like, he puts on pressure, but only enough pressure to make the Zerg produce units. And then just slowly makes that transition up towards higher tech. And there are still vulnerabilities. Like when you first put down the Fleet Beacon, right? And you make that commitment to play late game. Like, yeah, there's a few minutes of vulnerability. But once you get there, it just seems so comfortable. Making maybe the Brute Lord more reasonable of a choice is maybe not a bad idea. So Corruptors at the very least can be more useful than just killing the mothership. Because was Dark really supposed to make Corruptors that previous game? Wait, if it's only the mothership? I don't think you really want to. But at the same time, there's also no other... The Hydras just don't kill it. I don't know. I'm not sure what the correct answer is. It's a delicate bit of balance. That's for certain. Okay, so... Storm coming up here. +1/+1. Or no, +1/+2, rather. That's the +2 already. Lurker Den much sooner this time around for Dark. That was an obvious mistake in the previous game. He wanted to stick around on Roach Ravager, Roach Hydra. And he got that job done, but... He got that nice engagement, right? That almost won him the game, but then those Colossi slithered away. Oh, Hero bypassing a base over here. Fourth Nexus finally coming up for Hero, but for some reason it's over here. Rather than the more conventional spot on Frostline. And that means that he's going to lose this base now too. Yeah, Dark's maxed out. He's going to be able to deny this for a long time. No cancel on the Nexus. Psystorm is finishing up right now. We have the Zealots and the Adepts on the other side of the map trying to get some work done, but they also aren't controlled very well. Hero really hoping to get those juicy storms, but this is not the cleanest game I've ever seen Hero play. Not even really that much has happened in this match, but he's just so far behind. A lot of individual engagements that is just not going his way at all. He's got 3 base economy versus a, well, 83 drone Zerg economy, and he just can't really keep up. Now we have the speed upgrade for the Hydras coming up at the same time as the Lurker ranged. Nidus Worm coming up. Yeah, Dark's feeling comfortable. A few too many units donated early on, I think, from Hero. And this is a map where it is quite difficult, though, for Protoss to get a 4th base going in the first place. He's gonna try. Gonna have a little look, actually, what the win-loss ratio is like on this particular map for Protoss versus Zerg. Yeah, so Zerg against Protoss has a 58% win rate for Zerg. I believe this to be, by far, actually, the best map for Zerg going up against Protoss. It's just so difficult for Protoss to reliably take a 4th. The first 3 bases are easy, but the 4th base is not really viable. Okay. Well, this is not a terrible fight for Hero, actually. He's getting a lot of value out of all of this. Problem is, he has no reliable answer against Lurkers, even though there's only a few of them available at this point in time. He just doesn't have any way to really deal with it. He needs that base, and he needs it, well, soon. It's done right now. He's going into the Fleet Beacon now? That's dangerous. So now Hero is making a late game transition off of 3 base economy. And that I don't think is the right way to do it. If Zerg can keep you on 3 bases like what Dark has successfully done so far, it's very difficult to make that late game switch. Keep in mind, we're fighting over the Zerg's 5th here, which is what's been going on this entire time. Dark doesn't even really care about this base. Like, this base is nice to have, but it's not really the base that he needs. There was a recall towards the bottom of the map. Bring in some of those defensive units back home. Hydra's in the meantime trying to see if they can chase down those Stalkers from the top. But I think Dark has realized that, yep, the new base of the Protoss player is set up all the way at the bottom. There's also Vision now in the back of the main. Nidus Worm would be a nice option over here at the front too. If Dark can kill this base, yep, I think if he can kill this base, that's game over. Mothership is coming. But again, this is a Mothership off of effectively 3 bases. And it's still going to be about a minute or so until she's out. Now, in this economical spot, Dark can also afford going into a Spire. He's making the assumption that maybe Tempests are on the horizon too. Like, when it's Tempest and the Mothership, then you need to go Corruptors. If it's just the Mothership, though, like in this particular instance, I think Dark doesn't really need to go into the hard counter that badly. But he's thinking, yo, you don't really seem to have a whole lot of units. What exactly are you up to right now? He's a bit afraid that suddenly there's going to be a half dozen Tempests or Carriers showing up. So this is mostly like a safety Spire, making sure that there's no weird shenanigans here happening on the side of the Protoss player. And this is a Lurker sandwich. Yeah, the Mothership is out, but I'm a little afraid that she's not going to have a whole lot of Protoss to come home to. Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna... What are we recalling? Wow. 2 oracles and a probe. Her favorite children. The 4th Nexus, though, is gone. And while there aren't really not a lot of units that can shoot up at this point, there's also not a whole lot that deals damage to the ground. Cloak still, though, coming in clutch. Yeah, this map is not good for Protoss at all. Not against Zerg at the very least. It's good against Terran, but for Protoss versus Zerg, it is pretty atrocious. Mostly just because it's pretty much impossible to secure a new base. Now there's a literal Zerg infestation inside of the main base, and what is Hero to do against this? Well, Mama is still being a bit of a bully. I see where Hero got it from, but I just don't think there's enough. Ooh. Look at the mothership, man. She's still killing 9 Hydras on her way out. She didn't even die in the end, but GG gets gold. And it's Dark who obtains the victory. And that means that it all comes down to this. Ultra Love. Final game in this best of 5 series. Dark, send out a drone extremely early. Generally, he goes hatchery in his own natural first, and then on the other side of the map. I feel like this is the only way a series between these two can really end. Now you should probably keep blocking this, because if Dark is now going to be forced to take his 3rd base as well on his side of the map, this game is going to get really silly really fast. Hero needs to make sure that this expansion does not go up over here. As soon as he gets Adepts out, if he can force the 3rd base to be taken, Adepts are going to dominate the battlefield. 4 probes, 5 probes actually. We should go for a Zealot. Zealot as soon as we can afford it. Couple Chronos. Bada boom, bada... Yeah, there we go. Probe in the meantime has been bullied for a while. Now keep in mind, Dark actually hasn't had the money to make this base, because he already has decided to go into a spawning pool. Yeah. Generally, you go 4 probes in a Zealot, but 5 probes also works. And then the Zealot is going to be able to finish the job. Keep in mind that the Queen is now more expensive here, so Dark is gonna need to make sure that he prepares some money if he wants to make a Queen. Not gonna happen. Okay. Expertly handled there by Hero, considering he didn't know what was going on. Dark, though, got some of his money back, and he decided to invest it into 2 additional bases. Now, where do you go from here? How concerned are you right now as Hero? Because you know that the opponent has, in the meantime, been building up those bases on the other side of the map. You're still playing against triple head Zerg before you even ever built your own natural expansion. Do you need to be addressing this immediately, or can you actually sit back and just chill? The answer is yes, you can actually sit back and chill. But it feels wrong. It feels really wrong to take your natural after they take their 3rd. The real advantage here for Protoss is the worker count. So if you keep the pro production up, and you just go into the Adepts, and you go into the Oracles, and you just follow this up with a pretty normal build, you should find yourself in an advantage. Adepts, though, mostly here to keep the Zerg player honest, force them to make some lings. Oracles, obviously, to keep making those Queens, and also to keep making those Spore Crawlers. Spore Crawlers are by no means free. They are pretty much essential, though, these days, to be able to push away any sort of Oracle play. If Hero is anticipating that there's going to be some sort of follow-up aggression, you might want to go into a Void Ray instead. But, I mean, he is completely in the blind. He has no idea. Decides to go Oracle. Okay. Overlord here trying to figure out what's happening. Dark wants to know if this is all normal. Now that he knows that this is not going to survive anyways. Shout out to Otto the Overlord. Yeah, our forces are under attack. We're well aware. Well, the camera snapped immediately to the hatchery here, so we did not have to witness Otto's death. But shout out to my boy Otto, getting at least some vision and seeing that everything is normal. Allowing Dark to start up those Spore Crawlers at a reasonable time. But look at the worker count right now, right? So even though this has been a much later expansion for Hero, he's actually totally fine. He doesn't really need to be too aggressive. Those Spore Crawlers also hurting him a bit, though, because the Spores obviously cost a worker. So ultimately, as hero now, you're playing this from an advantage. Action is very much so on Dark. Dark is the one that needs to go and do something if he wants to win this match. I think hero can just sit back. If this was MaxSpecs playing, he would probably go for a blink push. Put on a little bit of pressure, try to maybe see if you can deny the Protoss' or rather the Zerg's fourth base, something along those lines. Hero is a bigger fan of the Adept follow-up, apparently, but we'll probably see a Twilight Council here from him in a moment here regardless, but it is... yeah, it is definitely Protoss here in the driver's seat. Now, he started up a Forge. No Twilight Council, although apparently he just now realized that as well. It is important to go for both of them. If you can only go for one, definitely Twilight. These Adepts are mostly just here to be a bully. Force the drones to go around the map. If they're going around the map, obviously they're not mining. Oracles now swoop in as well, kill a bunch of drones. Not bad. Queens are chasing around too. Another drone gets sniped. Lovely play here by Hero. Yep. 8 drones. 9 drones, 10 drones. Lovely work here by the South Korean Protoss. And ultimately, you end up with an income advantage that looks like this. Now, there was a big peak in favor of Protoss. That's when those drones were shuffling around, trying to see if they could, well, run away from those Adepts. And some of them did. Will probably stabilize around this level or so, but it's still a significant enough advantage here for Hero that he can just keep cruising, right? So, if you're ahead in this matchup as Protoss, you can just chill. Just keep playing the macro game. You really don't have to take a whole lot of chances. Dark is the one right now. Yep, forced into some weird spots. So he is double expending. Despite having no army, no economy, barely any upgrades, Dark's making 2 hatcheries. He can't possibly defend against the both of them. Like, there's really no way that he can hold on to both. But maybe he can get away with it, and maybe Hero is going to grow a little bit complacent. Well, not the case. He's making 7 additional... 7. That's 9 next, or 9 gateways in total. 9 gateways is not okay. It needs to be an even number of gateways. We all know that. I don't understand, man. Prime numbers, I guess, acceptable. Cheeky little Zorkling runs in. +1 melee begins 7 minutes into the game here for Dark. This may just be Dark going into a Spire again. Dark obviously skipping out on that Roach Warren so far. He's desperately trying to make drones. No, we are going to go Hydras. If he had +1 melee done at this point, those Stalkers could actually be dealt with, but there's a whole load of stasises. Stasis. Okay, now there's a... Ooh, big push. It is going to recall a bunch of those Stalkers. But again, this is not that scary of a recall. Hero is more than happy to take this recall. He should be building a 4th Nexus. He wants to go up to... Okay, you made another gateway. Gateway number 10 is the proxy one. I see. Thank you very much, Hero, for making it an even number of gateways. I thought for a second we were going to go for an odd number. That is not okay. So, Hero is going into this hyper-aggression follow-up, which really does not seem like a necessity to me at all. But he is trying to see if he wants to get this series over with... Well, he wants to see if he can get this series over with soon. So, we have mass Stalker. +1 melee is going to be amazing here for the Zerg when it finishes. So far, though, it is not finished. All Oracles are still alive, which is absolutely critical. As a matter of fact, only 2 Stalkers have died up to this point. It's a good micro by Hero. It's probably not going to remain with only 2 Stalkers. But he killed the 4th hatchery just now over here up top. And then there's a secondary 4th as well down at the bottom when Dark double expended. So this could still be something that Dark can get away with. Still no 4th Nexus here for Hero because he's pushing himself into an all-in. But the Stalker count is just so exceptionally high. There's almost as many Stalkers as there are Zerglings right now. As a matter of fact, 34 versus 35. Now there are more Stalkers than there are Zerglings. Hydras are coming up, but Hydras obviously don't have their upgrades yet. And without full upgrades, they're not that good. They have a speed upgrade and a ranged upgrade. Neither of them is done. Grooved Spines, though, that's the ranged, is finishing up right now, but it's finishing right as pretty much all of the Hydras are dead Hero gets the job done in a hero-like fashion with hyper-aggression in the mid-game. And that means that he has obtained the victory in the Korean StarCraft League in the 69th edition.